Welcome to Deleted Saves. On this episode, Onimusha Warlords on PlayStation 2. Most action horror and survival horror games have relied on the modern day with firearms for self-defense as their settings. But what would happen when we go back in time and set the horror in the age of the sword and the bow? We'll find out when we talk about today's topic, 2001's Onimusha Warlords. For context, I must take us back to early 2001 as well. I've spoken before on the show about how, every so often, I would go down to the mall, with capital letters, in my hometown to cruise the local game shop for new games. The game store at the mall had changed names several times as the mergers occurred across the game industry, but at this time it was an electronics boutique. I have also said the phrase disaffected 20-something to describe various store clerks I have interacted with across my gaming history. Well, today I break out the phrase disaffected 30-something in this case. I entered the store looking for something new to play. I was the only customer at the time, and the two disaffected 30-something clerks behind the counter were deep in a loud conversation about the one Dude Bro's killer stereo system he had just installed in his apartment. I saw Onimusha on the shelf and asked about it. The stereo owner stopped his conversation in a huff, glanced at me long enough to see who had interrupted him, and muttered, "It's Resident Evil with swords," and went back to his in-depth description of how the bass would shake his walls, much to his neighbor's annoyance. I was sold. I grabbed a copy of the game and had to interrupt the clerk in the midst of it airing his penis envy, talking about his new stereo system, in order to pay for the game. And it was so much more than that shitty description could explain. We step into the role of Samanosuke, a samurai warrior in the service of the Akechi clan during the Sengoku period. Man, we can just not get away from that period. In any case, Samanosuke's job is to try and defeat Oda Nobunaga, the historically famous Japanese warlord. And the battle concludes with our hero believing he has done his job, as Nobunaga is left mortally wounded and left for dead. A year later, he receives a call for aid letter from Princess Yuki of the Saito clan, as she thinks monsters are causing all of her servants to disappear. Samanosuke, ever the noble sort, rushes to her aid with his ninja friend Kaede in tow, and the two split up not long after reaching their destination of Inabayama Castle and are attacked by Japanese demons. What follows is a wild series of events where Samanosuke is nearly killed by the monsters, but is revived by a council of 12 guardian spirits called Oni, and gifted a magical gauntlet so that he can suck up the defeated monsters' souls and use their spirits to make his own weapon stronger. In the course of the game, we meet a few more historic figures and some overly dramatic demons, only to learn that the one who orchestrated the takeover of Inabayama Castle and the abduction of the princess was none other than Nobunaga himself, back from the dead and bristling with demonic might. Onimusha is a Capcom game, the company I've spoken about at length previously, and it landed right in that spot right around the same time, just before Devil May Cry, and around the post-Resident Evil 3 afterglow. It shows it is a Capcom game from that time, put together, gorgeous graphics, stilted dialogue, and borrowing all the best moves from itself. Onimusha does Resident Evil-style pre-rendered backgrounds and tank controls for movement, as well as some light puzzle solving. But as you explore the castle, you will be in for a much more tactics-focused game, as you will be utilizing Samanosuke's warrior skills to block, cut, parry, and slice the demonic horde to ribbons as you trek back and forth across the castle looking for upgrades, new gear, and keys. It is a horror game in a certain type of anime creepiness, with gooey, disgusting visuals and dark humor. Kind of like putting Bruce Campbell's Ash from Army of Darkness in samurai gear. It does not shy from combat. In fact, the player is expected to fight, and only run past foes if their health is critically low. But even then, a properly timed cut from an attacking demon could release a health power-up to be absorbed by your soul-devouring gauntlet. It is an action horror game with a control scheme best suited to an older play style, which is fitting as the game was supposed to debut on the original PlayStation but was upgraded to the PS2 due to console generation release windows. Onimusha Warlords is a guilty pleasure kind of game. Something that is a bit cheap and unintentionally funny, but that you have a great time with nonetheless. It is also a shorter game than one would think, easily completed from start to finish within 8 hours or so. But at its initial releases, it was a commercial success that garnered multiple sequels. It was ported to the latest generation of consoles and Steam in 2019, so anyone who may want to give this game a try certainly can. I feel giving it that shot is worth it, just for the set-piece battles and designs alone, as well as the near Jill Sandwich levels of English language dialogue. And thankfully, the remasters don't have to deal with tank controls. There are other games out there that may make you feel like more of a somber and badass samurai, but with Onimusha Warlords, you'll have that kind of smile on your face only Capcom can bring, while wiping the demon guts from your blade. Thank you for listening.